Hey, welcome back to the Masters of the Universe Director's Commentary with me, Scott, Toy Guru Neitlich, the brand manager of the line, collector and toy maker. I'm a little out of order. The last figure, Ceratus, and this one should have come out at the same month as Perfuma, so I'll reorder them in the playlist. But for now, we'll just march forward. Okay, so we are at the end of 2015 and almost the end of the original Mattel Classics line, which means it's variant time. Yes, while we all love He-Man and Skeletor, there's something to be said about the variants. Some of these variants became a lot of kids' de facto version of He-Man and Skeletor. It's one of the reasons that the Battle Armor versions have been done so many times in so many toy lines. I mean, we obviously did the Battle Armor versions in Classics and deliberately went out with them first as the first variants because, well, honestly, they're probably the most popular because they were the first variants done in the vintage line. And that action feature was pretty damn cool. Even if we couldn't recreate it with Classics because we didn't have the funds for the mechanism, it's interesting how these two, with their turning, rotating chest emblem that shows damage, finally made it into the Netflix animated show, which was cool. But yeah, this was a definitive He-Man and Skeletor for a lot of folks. I did have them both, although I had the original ones too as a kid. This was my second He-Man and Skeletor, and it was actually the only other He-Man and Skeletor I got. I only had the original and Battle Armor, so I didn't have some of these later line variants, which we're kind of jump into in this video. So while, traditionally He-Man comes with his axe and half of his sword, well, that wasn't going to be so much with these other variants. They were going to sort of stray farther and farther from, I guess, the original He-Man formula. But, as I said, almost every single toy line does these before the other variants. And the only reason that we couldn't have the mechanism in Classics is because it requires a whole other realm of tooling and engineering. And man, to say we were on a shoestring budget is an optimistic way of saying it. All right. So, with Battle Armor He-Man and Skeletor complete years ago, and it's been a while since we really did a toy variant of He-Man. Now, I will say for She-Ra, we didn't get to all of the vintage variants, and we were very clear that this wasn't going to happen. But I did say, I promised that we would get to the He-Man and Skeletor variants and the Hordak variants. Why She-Ra didn't quite make it, I mean, we did do the Bubble Power version, but we didn't get to Starburst She-Ra. I would have loved to. If the line had kept going, this would have been probably the next version of She-Ra to do. I mean, I know we did New Adventures instead of this one, but the idea was we would be getting to this one if we had more time. All right, so let's look at the two figures we're actually talking about today, which is the Terror Claws Skeletor and counterpart with He-Man there. The interesting thing about these two is the action features are in their accessories. So they're not actually built into a mechanism in their chest the way the Battle Armor versions were. So we could actually have, sort of a semi-recreation of the action features, which were really just snap-on claws for Skeletor and a spinning shield and mace-like weapon for He-Man. Sure, why not? But yeah, very cool. But, this was also taking them away, I think, from their pop culture look. Skeletor was known as wearing a sports bra, and Flying Fist's He-Man was wearing, he had red wristbands and red logo now that was a full H, no longer the Iron Cross, probably Mattel realizing that maybe that wasn't the best design to go out with, but they did, and it's there. So yes, Flying Fist He-Man, one that I did not get as a child, but, this was the second, third, fourth version of He-Man, right? Because we had the Thunder Punch before this. So yes, regular, and then Battle Armor Thunder Punch, and now Terror Claw, and hit me with a shield He-Man. I don't know. I always thought the name was didn't quite describe him as well, or what he came with. But not sure how many people this was their definitive version. I think because it came so late in the line. Now, as I said, with Skeletor, it was easy just to do a sort of more updated version, and we could even have articulation on the little dragon skeleton thing, which I wonder is the same. Is it the same dragon he had on his back in his previous variant, the one that spit water? I always thought, did he just take that dragon and now attach it to his arm? When we looked at updating these in the Classics, like we did with pretty much every figure, we looked at as much of the vintage material that was available. And since these figures came out while they were still actually a marketing budget, they did receive quite a lot. They were featured in the Mattel Toy Guide, they had TV spots, and they came on oversized deluxe cards. They also had each a mini-comic dedicated entirely to them and about how they acquired their new powers. The idea that He-Man could draw on the power of Grayskull to create new weapons. This was actually a very significant push forward in the continuity and how his powers work, and it would be adapted into the 2000X series, where He-Man would use this power to create the snake armor. So I thought it was really cool that He-Man and Skeletor were both tapping into their respective power bases to create new weapons. That was the explanation, if you will, for why they got the upgrade, and we're now ready to have more mini comic fun. It's interesting that He-Man's wearing his original chest logo there, not actually the armor for his flying fist figure. But hey, continuity was never the mini comics best. So while these figures don't make it into all toy lines, they did make it into Origins, which again was cool, and they came out in a deluxe card just like the original, although they got an extra head with this one, which we didn't do in Classics. Would have been nice. Wish we had the budget for more of that, but we kind of blew it on their accessories. When I tell you the budget was small on Classics, I'm not kidding. And instead of being released on a deluxe card like they were in Origins or the Vintage line, they were released as a 2-pack. Similar, we had 2-packs of things like Horde Troopers and Eternia Soldiers. This was one of the first times we had 2 different characters. Well, I guess we had the Snake Armor He-Man and King Hiss. So, but was this the first time we had a He-Man and Skeletor 2-pack, I want to say? Because, yeah, the other previous variants came out as single-carded figures, and these were the first to come out in a 2-pack. Really because we were trying to get everything wrapped by the end of 2015 as prices went up, and the promise to fans to complete all of the vintage He-Man variants. So we got 4 out of 5 done with another one on deck, and it was amazing that we were able to pull this off. I'm really proud of it, because we promised we'd get to all the variants in the 80s Masters line, and we did. And then, honestly, doing that and completing the 80s line in Classics is one of the proudest things I've ever gotten to do in the toy industry.